What's up EFD squad? Today we're running through 10 players who've surprised us with great performances this season. Let's get started. 10. Gonzalo Higuain. Once one of the most feared strikers in Europe, Gonzalo Higuain saw his productivity in front of goal tail off not long after that €90 million move to Juventus in 2016. He scored 24 in Serie A in his first season with the Old Lady, which, while impressive, wasn't a patch on the 36 he'd netted for Napoli the previous campaign. And it didn't even make him top goal scorer in Turin, with Torino's Andrea Bellotti scoring 26. That figure would drop to 16 the following season, despite him playing nearly the same amount of minutes, leading Juve to loan the former Real Madrid man to Milan, where he proved even more ineffective. Even a mid-season switch to Chelsea and a rendezvous with former manager Maurizio Sarri couldn't revive him. So when he followed the Italian coach back to Serie A this summer, most expected him to play a bit-part role at best. But so far, he's proving everybody wrong. While 4 goals and 3 assists in 12 league appearances doesn't look spectacular, his overall attacking play has improved massively. Higuain is currently averaging 0.85 expected goals and assists per 90, his best figure since his return to the Allianz Stadium. And this has much to do with the fact he's creating over 2 chances a game, which is better than at any point in his career full stop. Turning 32 this December, El Pepito is entering the twilight of his career on top form. 9. Luis Muriel. One thing that hasn't surprised us this season is that Atalanta have scored lots of goals. Last season's top scorers in Serie A with 77, Gianpiero Gasparini's side also led the division for expected goals, and they've carried on that form this season. However, the fact that new signing Luis Muriel has been their most prolific forward is somewhat unexpected. Brought in from Sevilla after a decent 4-month loan spell at Fiorentina, the Colombian striker had previously enjoyed stints with Udinese and Sampdoria, but never topped 11 goals in a league season. However, he has exploded under Gasparini. Despite ranking 15th in the squad for minutes played, Muriel is leading the scoring charts in Bergamo with 8 at the time of recording, finding the net once every 73 minutes. And this isn't even a fluke. The 28-year-old is averaging slightly under 1 goal per 90 according to expected goals, with Duvan Zapata, last season's top goal scorer at the Atleti Azzurri d'Italia, lagging behind with an expected goals per 90 of 0.6. Still very decent, but not hitting the heights of his teammate and countryman. Having first arrived in Europe all the way back in 2010, Luis Muriel is finally fulfilling his potential 9 years down the line. 8. Dani Carvajal. On the evidence of his performances in 2018-19, it appeared Dani Carvajal was in the process of a major decline. Hampered by injuries, the Real Madrid right-back was one of the weakest links in a Merengue's side, which greatly underachieved both domestically and in Europe. So, at the start of the new campaign, talk of the Spanish international being replaced in the starting lineup by Alvaro Odriozola was rife. However, after a shaky start, Carvajal is showing glimpses of the player who, less than 2 years ago, was still widely considered as one of the very best in his position. The Fabrica graduate has already clocked up 4 assists, double his tally from last season, and has been mightily impressive defensively speaking too, completing 3.7 tackles and interceptions a game, up from 2.8 in 18-19. His tackle success rate has also ballooned to 77%, which is around the same level it was managing in his pomp 2 seasons ago. Right now, it feels very much like Carvajal was written off too soon. He may face way stiffer competition for his place now, especially with Hakimi impressing on loan at Dortmund, but he's still only 27. And should he keep up his current performance level, we can see him holding down his position for the next 2 years. 7. Amine Harit. It was almost a certainty that Schalke would improve this season, considering their 33 points in 2018-19 was the German club's worst showing in a Bundesliga campaign since 1988, the last time they were relegated from the top tier. However, having spent less money on new signings in the summer than they have done in the previous 3 seasons, the scale of said improvement was anyone's guess, despite the smart decision to hire David Wagner as new coach. But the former Huddersfield boss is getting the very best out of his squad, and in particular, Amine Harit. Originally signed from Nantes as a 20-year-old back in 2017, the Morocco international has come into his own this season, starting every game and hitting 6 goals and 3 assists, already over 3 times his total output from last term. The skillful and versatile forward has quickly become one of the Bullies' most exciting players and is supposedly attracting interest from Barcelona. Harit may have arrived in the Veltins arena with lots of promise, but few expected him to progress at such a rapid pace following such a poor 18-19 season. And with Schalke threatening for a place in the top 4 once again, the youngster could be impressing UCL audiences within the next 12 months, whether or not he earns himself a big move. 6. Victor Osimhen. Considering they sold both Nicola Pepe and Rafael Leao in the summer, it's pretty surprising that Lille haven't experienced a significant drop-off this season. The Ivorian and Portuguese forwards accounted for over 40 goals and assists in 18-19, as the French club finished second in Ligue 1. However, at the time of recording, they've only scored 3 less than at this stage last season, and can still be confident of a top 3 finish. A big part of this has been Victor Osimhen, who was signed for €12 million from Belgian outfit Charleroi in the summer, having scored 12 goals in the Pro League last term. A FIFA Under-17 World Cup and Golden Boot winner in 2015, the Nigerian striker has been a known entity for some time. But an 18-month stint at Wolfsburg, where he was handed just 3 league starts and failed to contribute a goal, called into question his top 5 league credentials. But he's well and truly proved the doubters wrong in Lille. At the time of recording, he's scored 8 and assisted 2 in the French top flight, and has even netted twice in the Champions League against Chelsea and Valencia. And what's more, his output is matching his expected goals, largely due to the fact that he's firing off a mighty impressive 3 shots inside the box a game, more than Wissam Ben Yedder and Memphis Depay. Lille once again stand to make a huge profit in the summer of 2020. 5. Adama Traore. One of the most unlikely success stories of the season so far, Adama Traore has been one of the key men for Wolves in their second Premier League campaign under Nuno Espirito Santo. Last season, the Masia graduate was used almost solely as an impact player, making 21 substitute appearances in the league and clocking up less than 900 minutes of action. For context, the often injured Kevin De Bruyne got more time for Manchester City. But in 1920, the Spanish winger has shaken off his reputation as a master dribbler with 0 end product. At the time of writing, he started 11 league games, already beating his total for the previous campaign, and has been excellent on the right of a 4-man midfield or as a wing-back. He's hit 2 goals and 3 assists, doubling his output from last season, with both of these strikes coming in a famous win over Manchester City at the Etihad. What's more, he's creating more chances a game than ever before in the Prem, and has stepped up his game defensively too, making 1.9 tackles and interceptions per match, again a career high. At 23, Adama Traore is finally beginning to look like a well-rounded player who can consistently perform at the top level. 4. Riyad Mahrez. One of the more puzzling transfers of the Guardiola era at Manchester City, Riyad Mahrez arrived at the Etihad for record money, and generally disappointed in his first season, which was mainly remembered for a penalty miss against Liverpool, which almost cost his side the title. Ranking 12th in the squad for minutes played, Mahrez was far from integral to Pep's successive Premier League title. This season, he's been entrusted with more responsibility following that injury to Leroy Sané, and has repaid his manager's faith in him. He currently has more assists than Raheem Sterling and Bernardo Silva, and his in-game stats back this up, with the former Leicester man recording 3 key passes a game and averaging 0.6 expected assists per 90, by far the best creative numbers he's recorded in his career and the best in the City squad after KDB. With the citizens now facing the toughest test of their title credentials in over 2 years, Mahrez will no doubt be an even more important figure as the season goes on. Whether or not they can claw back Liverpool's lead, the Algerian star has more than proven his worth in a side full of world-class talent. 3. Lisandro Martinez. Unknown to most fans in Europe when he was snapped up by Ajax in the summer, Lisandro Martinez was brought to the Johan Cruyff Arena for €7 million, primarily as a replacement for outgoing captain Matthijs de Ligt. However, he's ended up filling the Frenkie de Jong-shaped hole in midfield. The 21-year-old impressed hugely as a ball-playing centre-back for Argentinian outfit Defensa, helping them to second in the league and making the team of the season. But since arriving in the Netherlands, he's been deployed mainly as a defensive midfielder, with Joel Veltman partnering Daley Blind at the back. Such a young talent would be expected to take time to adapt to a new league, but Martinez has slotted into Ten Hag's system seamlessly, scoring 2 goals and providing an assist from deep. He's also been an excellent shield for the defence, making 4 tackles and interceptions a game, the most in the squad bar Veltman, and is proving himself integral to the side in build-up play too, completing nearly 70 passes a game with a 90% completion rate. While these numbers match up quite well with what De Jong was posting last term, it'd be unfair to expect Martinez to drive Ajax to the same feats as they achieved in 18-19. Nevertheless, he's doing a far better job at masking the Dutchman's loss than anyone could have imagined. 2. Willian. Perhaps the biggest scapegoat of the short-lived Sarri era at Stamford Bridge, Willian didn't end the 18-19 campaign in the good books of Chelsea fans. Furthermore, with the arrival of Christian Pulisic and the emergence of Callum Hudson-Odoi, it looked ever more likely the Brazilian forward would lose his status as a regular starter under Frank Lampard. But the Blues veteran has found a new lease of life with his old teammate in the dugout, leading the squad for Premier League assists and averaging 0.5 expected goal contributions per 90. This is despite creating less chances at a far lesser rate than he did last term, and not taking many more shots either. Essentially, the Brazilian is now playing in a far more functional attack than the one put together by Sarri, no longer reliant on the performances of the individual and with a fresh, dynamic focal point in the form of Tammy Abraham. Willian has been an essential part of this transformation, providing much needed experience to a forward line dominated by players under the age of 23. Now in his 7th season in West London, the former Shakhtar man is one of the Bridge's great survivors, and he's continued to impress as the club begins an exciting new era. 1. Islam Slimani. One of the worst investments made by a Premier League club in recent years, Islam Slimani cost less than nearly £30 million in the summer of 2016 as they look to build on their unlikely Premier League title win. In 18 months at the King Power, the Algerian clocked up less than 1,500 league minutes and proved largely ineffective in a side geared towards feeding Jamie Vardy up top. Loan spells at Newcastle and Fenerbahce yielded even poorer results, and so not much expected when he moved to an underachieving Monaco side for the 19-20 campaign. However, playing in the Leo Jardim and alongside Wissam Ben Yedder has helped the Algerian striker find his best form since leaving Sporting Lisbon, recording 6 goals and 8 assists in Ligue 1 at the time of writing. That works out to a goal contribution every 60 minutes, with strike partner Ben Yedder currently leading the scoring charts in the French top flight as a result of his excellent service. It also helps when Alexander Golovin is finding his best form playing just behind the pair. Helping form one of the most attacking little and large attacking combos seen in Europe for quite some time, Slimani has found his second wind on the French Riviera and may have just helped save Jardim's job in the process. So that was 10 players that we weren't expecting to have good seasons, guys. Should we make a part 2? Hit us up with some suggestions in the comments below. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.